Folks, what the crap's going on? Heir of Khorne here. Welcome back, and may I say a blood for the blood god and skulls to the skull throne. Welcome to the video. Yes, this is going to be a domination battle in Total War Warhammer 3, and it should be a good one. This one's actually going to be High Elves versus Khorne. This was a matchup I was actually fairly curious about. There's many I'm curious about, to be fair, but High Elves are a faction that, especially as of all of their DLC having come out, they have a lot of options in play. There are certainly weaknesses for them, but they also have a lot of very powerful units. They have great characters like this dragon. Here's the princess, and I believe it's a moon dragon that's just flying, maybe a sun dragon. And let's just take a look at the armies real quick. So this is a domination match. You can see that it's still about 30 seconds until the capture points can be accessed, and this is a FFA map that's been used for domination in Game 3, so pretty cool to see this brought through. And as for what the High Elves have brought, they have a princess, and then check this out. This is some extremely heavy infantry contingent. Boy, Phoenix Guard are looking better than ever in the Warhammer 3 game here. So 3 units of Phoenix Guard, which are very good at dealing with large, but also nice AP and defense against just about anything. They also have good physical resist. And then, of course, we have some Sword Masters of Hoeth, which can chop through armor and other infantry at will, essentially. This is, outside of Chosen with great weapons, this is probably the tankiest infantry that we've seen in the game. So we got Sword Masters and Phoenix Guard basically standing here on the capture box, and they are squaring off against, well, the Warriors of Khorne. And Khorne brings a lot of armor and shields. They do have dual-wielding variants, which can be pretty tough. If they want to do AP damage, they have to bring Bloodletters. And the Khorne army in this case, which is commanded by Dav, and I believe the High Elves are commanded by Anticity, so a couple of great players here, so this should be a really fun match, by the way. See, it's already getting underway over here. Some Skull Crushers of Khorne chop their way through some Reavers and are now working on some Dragon Princes with some Shadow Warriors nearby. Now, Shadow Warriors, an interesting pick. Look at that. The bow attack here from the Princess. The Princess is going to assist in getting rid of these Skull Crushers faster. A very expensive unit, so there are some warriors with dual weapons coming over to help, but it's a little too late here. The High Elves have really done the damage there against that Skull Crusher. But yeah, Khorne needs Bloodletters, and especially they would need Exalted Bloodletters to do really heavy AP damage. But Bloodletters have a problem. They don't have a shield, and they would be extraordinarily vulnerable to something such as Shadow Warriors, which can fire in a 360-degree arc while retreating. They would also be vulnerable to cavalry, such as Illyrian Reaver archers, and other such things, just standard archers. So the desire to not bring those lighter infantry that deal all the AP damage is understandable on the part of Dav, because he doesn't want to commit to a hail of missile fire, and so Anticity really kind of comes in with a shocker here by bringing an army that almost no one would expect, because heavy infantry in the game, some people feel like it's not even any good, and the reason is because it's magic bait, it's missile bait. It takes the brunt of every monster, all the missiles. Everything shoots at the heavy infantry, and it never gets to really stand its own most of the time in Warhammer battles, to the point where it makes some people mad and they want to see it buffed or changed some because it just doesn't get used. Well, here's a scenario in which heavy infantry could be very useful. Khorne does not use magic. Khorne doesn't really use missiles outside of the Skull Cannon. And this forest right here in the center gives Anticity the opportunity to park a bunch of heavy infantry in here. And they also have the support of a life mage. This is going to be very difficult for Khorne to dislodge. Very difficult indeed. And look at some of the other units that are brought into bear here. There's going to be a Lion Chariot of Trace. The Lion Chariots now, of course, should be quite good against infantry as needed. And you can see here that the Dragon Princes combining with the Lion Chariots and everything are helping to clear out these Flesh Hounds. The Flesh Hounds are very good units, but they're not great against armor. That's going to be one of their weaknesses. And the Dragon Princes have plenty of armor, as do the Lion Chariots, so they'll slow them down. But Lion Chariots are an interesting pick as well, because Khorne has that armored infantry. Lion Chariots would do good. Look at that breath attack support. The dragon there, just a brutal breath attack, chopping through these Chaos Warriors of Khorne, helping clean the way for the Phoenix Guard even faster. See the Phoenix Guard coming this way. Look at the stats here, 46 attack, 52 defense. Not insane damage, but since it's mostly AP, it's gonna hurt. These Chaos Warriors of Khorne are gonna feel this one. And with 100 armor, the Chaos Warriors of Khorne are gonna have a hard time chopping through that the other way around. So it's gonna be very good engagements. For the High Elves, you can see over here that Dav just cannot contest point 2. because this infantry is just too powerful. So he has instead moved on. It looks like he's maybe trying to get out into the spawn. He's chasing these Shadow Warriors. He had some Flesh Hounds, but they got intercepted by a couple of units of Silver Helms. And Silver Helms, not crazy strong cavalry, but with that kind of charge and decent armor, they'll do fine versus Flesh Hounds, and they'll also do some damage to infantry when they charge it. So an interesting and pretty cost-effective pick with the Silver Helms, allowing Anticity to get some heavy cavalry onto the battlefield relatively cheap. You can see the Princess with her bow is just continuing to do work. 80 kills. Very nice here. And basically at this point, Dav is in a very tough position. He can't recapture point 2 at the moment. He tried to get point 1, and this heavy infantry just made it too difficult, especially with the support of the Princess. So again, he's left with the opportunity where he has to try and come face off against this elite infantry in the woods, and that is just not going to go well. So this kind of surprise build here by Anticity, and David told me, he's like, man, I did not expect this build. And I can honestly say, nor would I. Nor would I have expected this build. Because, again, it's almost unheard of that you see that much elite infantry come onto the battlefield, because it's usually suicidal in nature to do that. And this happens to be a time where it is not. The High Elves have the cover of the woods. They have the benefit of fighting against Khorne. Khorne does have units that could do a lot of damage to that type of infantry, like the Shrine of Khorne would be quite good. The Skull Cannon might be able to do some damage, but not in those woods. The woods is going to change that. And then you have the Phoenix Guard and the support of the Life Mage. That gets very tough for Khorne to break unless he's got large amounts of Bloodletters. And at that point, my guess is that that's the point of the Chariots and the Cavalry. And then also you're going to have the Shadow Warriors. When you combine those, it makes a very crappy world for Bloodletters as well. So do the High Elves really have all the tools to make Khorne suffer? Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. You all tell me what you think. Now, of course, Khorne could bring an Exalted Bloodthirster that could fly around and challenge the Princess here on the Dragon and possibly win that fight. But my guess is it might be hard for the Bloodthirster to catch the Dragon. And then, of course, you could have bow support helping the Dragon as well. Not to mention the Life Mage can heal the Dragon. And again, Khorne does not get those particular benefits. So it really does have me wondering, are the High Elves the bane of Khorne? Can they counter them well in the multiplayer? I mean, in this case, the answer is certainly yes, but I'd love to hear what you all think about this matchup. Again, not necessarily something what I would have expected. In the past, you could sometimes beat the High Elves by stacking up a bunch of armored and shielded infantry, like with Chaos Warriors, and basically overwhelming the High Elves, you know, bring in some Knights, and just hit them hard with like Archaon or something, but it's a little different for Khorne, what they have to offer. You know, they're not exactly like the Warriors of Chaos. And the Warriors of Chaos do have stuff like the Warriors with great weapons that Khorne does not. And that's going to make a difference whenever that fight comes to fruition. Look here, there were a couple of Heralds of Khorne, and these units can be good at capturing points, and they're also great infantry support, so I can see why Dav picked these. But in this case, they're up against a Princess on a Dragon, and that Herald of Khorne has just not got the anti-large powers. Now, they could do decently putting some damage into these Swordmasters. I don't know how long they would last in a fight against the Swordmasters either, because the Swordmasters are brutal, and they have an anti-infantry bonus as well. But at this point, Dav really just doesn't have a way to come back. He's been heavily defeated. He can't bring troops onto the battlefield in enough numbers, and he's forced to concede defeat because Anticity has just really gotten a good pick and solid control of the map. And again, this was a very interesting matchup. I was glad to see this. I'm really appreciative of Dav sending this to me. And, you know, sometimes as a player, it can be frustrating sometimes when you lose and you don't want to show it, but he was kind enough to send this anyway. And what I love about it is because it really highlights the fact that look at that elite infantry just come in and take care of business. They didn't even have to kill that much. Like, they didn't get that many kills or that much value. Didn't have to. They locked down the capture points, and that did the job pretty much for the High Elves. But the real value here, look at the value on that Princess on a Dragon. Very well played there by Anticity. Nice support with the Life Mage. Let's check out the Cavalry here. I want to see that secondary army. Really good value out of these Dragon Princes here. That's not bad at all. I mean, they are almost untouched. He had this Shadow Walker as well, which pretty dangerous unit in melee with anything low armor, but it's also got the poison weapon and missiles. The Chariot here, not getting a ton of value, but cool units, these Shadow Warriors. Some of them didn't even come into play. They weren't needed, but these would be a very nice hard counter to a lot of Bloodletters running around everywhere as the heavy Cavalry and the Shadow Warriors. And so It really does feel like the High Elves have a lot of very solid tools to use against Khorne. And Khorne, with the shorter roster, right, they haven't had the benefit of multiple DLCs like the High Elves have. May make it a tricky battle for them. You know, I expect at some point that fight may change because, you know, we haven't gotten any really DLC for Warhammer 3 yet because CA is still trying to get, you know, Immortal Empires working and patches and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's fine that they haven't. But yeah, just interesting situation. You all tell me what you think about this matchup down in the comments. I'm curious to hear it. Hope you all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll see you again soon with some more action in Warhammer 3.